Something I've been trying to work on the 750 build is what headlight I want to go with. There's a lot of headlights out there, and I don't really want to buy a run-of-the-mill style headlight. Nothing wrong with it, it's just I wanted something unique for this build. So I've been thinking and I've been hunting around trying to find something that's just a little bit different from the normal generic headlight. We've come up with a decision, not just myself, but another guy who I've mentioned on the channel before, and you may know who this is. Another Cafe Racer build is his channel name. His name's Tom. So I hit Tom up with the idea and I said, this is what I want to do. He has the access to all of the machines and tooling to make this happen. So Tom and I have been going backwards and forwards, working out exactly what we need to make this happen and what actually needs to be machined, what needs to be made. What it is, it's going to be a projector style headlight, and he needs to make a specific ring to make this work. We need to buy the projector and we need to put it all together. So what we're going to do is we're going to share the process with you. I'm assuming Tom's going to show you the technical aspect of what we did, and I'm just going to show you basically a little bit of the machining and how it was put together. If you haven't subscribed to Tom, his channel's called Another Cafe Racer Build. If you haven't subscribed to him, go and do it and check out the process of us putting this light together, because it's going to be pretty awesome once it's done. It's not completely unique, it has been done before, but we just want to create our own version of this same sort of thing. Okay, so in this video I'm going to recreate this hump, the entire hump and the seat pan that goes with it. I'm going to take a mold of this one. If you haven't seen my previous videos where I show how to make the actual plug to begin with, how to make the hump and the seat pan, and then turn it into what it is now, I'm going to recreate it. The reason being is because I want to do a couple of variations of this same hump, and this one's been painted in 2-pack. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wax it right up, 6 coats of wax on this, and then once that's done, I'm going to start the process of actually making a split mold. So the mold's going to come through here, across, and there's going to be a flange that's going to bolt the two together. And once that's done, I can actually separate it quite easily, just so that I don't get what's called stick up on the actual mold. There's absolutely nothing worse than creating a mold and then finding out that your part that you want to pull out of it is just impossible to get out, and then you have to smash the mold apart to try and get that part out, and then you have to recreate the mold again. So I don't want to do that. I want to make it nice and easy. So it's a little bit more work to make a split mold, but it is a lot easier to separate. So that's why I'm going to do it, and I'm going to show the entire process of how I do it. So I'm going to put 6 coats of wax on this release agent, just so that I don't get any problems with any of the fiberglass sticking to it. So let's get stuck into that. So now that I've got all these parts cut out, like this MDF here, the acrylic piece, and those two, I've got this back bit of melamine sitting there at the moment. And what I want to do is I want to project the shape of this onto that back piece, just so that I can get a divider, so that I can actually put the divider smack in the middle of this piece here. So it's going to sit across here, as you'll see soon. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because I'm going to fill up the little gap with a plasticine, because the actual resin doesn't stick to the plasticine. So same thing with a few little gaps that I've got going on here. Those will all get filled up with plasticine there and here, and probably some around there, maybe even some at the back. I'll show you how I do that, but for now I just need to cut a section of the silhouette from this straight onto there, and then once that's done, then I can bring that forward and screw them into the side panels here, which you'll see. So I'll get stuck into that. I can't
and I'm gonna take you traveling the world. But I can love you. Yeah, I'm gonna love you. I'll give you the whole of what I've got. The fancy finds, baby, I have not. Just gonna love you. Yeah, I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna love you, baby. Cross my heart and hope to die.
So yesterday I spent a bit of time getting the split mold set up so that I could run some glass today, and I ran some plasticine or Play-Doh along the edge there just to try and fill up that gap. But unfortunately I've used the wrong stuff, and I want to show you what happens when you do use the wrong thing. So to make sure that you do use the plasticine brand, I'll also leave a link for plasticine in the description below so you don't buy the wrong stuff, because this is exactly what happens. I'll show you. As you can see, it started to dry and pull away from everywhere. Even here, it's literally like dried out and curled out. So I've spent a bit of time doing that, and unfortunately now I've got to do it all again. So my recommendation, if you're going to do this, to definitely get the plasticine brand, because it just doesn't dry out. You can reuse it, and that's the exact thing that you want. Even the composite places, the places that sell fiberglass, I think stock this particular brand. I know it's a kid's Play-Doh plasticine, but it's exactly what you need when you're trying to fill these little tiny gaps. I'll leave a bunch of links in the description for a kit if you're going to actually make a hump or you're going to make a split mold. It's all pretty much the same sort of stuff you'll need. So the resin, the mat, the roller, plasticine, it'll all be in there. So go and check that out if that's something you're interested in. So now that I've filled up all the holes with the plasticine, I'm just going to go and put 6 coats of this mold release wax on. You can use ordinary car wax, however I just like to use the correct stuff. Now you've got to put at least 6 layers on and allowing time, like about a half an hour between each coat. This is a process you really don't want to rush, because if you do, you will regret it. So 6 coats of wax is like, I know you can get away with 2 or 3 and it might work and you might be good, but just spending the time doing it and then allowing the half an hour between each coat will make a huge difference in the end result when you're trying to pull it off. So the next step is, after you've done your 6 coats of wax, is to add the gel coat. The gel coat is kind of a hard wearing, I guess, surface area for the first stage of this process. So now that the gel coat is dry, I'm going to add the matting. I've put some resin in here. I'm about to put the hardener in, and I've just gone and got my chopped strand mat and just chopped it into manageable sizes. If it's a big piece, it's just a bit cumbersome to try and get around all those funny angles, so I like to just chop it into little squares, and then it's just easy to lay up. So once the chopped strand is actually down, I'm going to use this little guy here. It's actually just a roller, just to get rid of all the little air bubbles in the little places where you can't necessarily press hard on the brush. So it's a good little handy tool to have if you're doing fiberglass. Now that fiberglass is actually cured, what I'm going to do is remove the timber here on the sides and also the back panel, spin it around, and then work on the other half. And then the same process on this. The 6 coats of wax go on here, then the fiberglass, and then I can just release the entire thing. But making sure I put wax on here as well, because this is essentially going to be two parts that need to be separated, so you want to make sure that nothing gets stuck to this. So now that both sides of this is completely cured, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill holes evenly all the way through here, and then I'm going to put bolts through the holes and then do them up. These bolts are left over from when I was actually building, just leftover bolts from when I was actually building this hydraulic lift table. So they're just the ones that I have at the moment, so I'll use them. And once I've put those bolts in and done them up, then I'm going to make a cut about 2 inches up from here, so all the way through. So in the words of my friend Jish, let's crack on. So unfortunately the plug got some battle scars along the process, which is no big deal. I can always get them fixed up and painted if I wanted to, but the main thing is that the mold survived and it's in pretty good shape. A few little bits of plug are still stuck on there, but they can just be peeled off. They'll come off easily enough. I do want to share with you something pretty cool that's just finished. It's not completely finished, but it's at the point where I can now get them anodized, and they are the Rearsets on the CB750, so I'll show you what they look like. The few changes that have been made to them is the one that was originally made was a little bit longer than this, that being CNC cut out of a very hard alloy, I think 60, 61, and these have been dished out a little bit further, so they're only 2.5 mil I believe, and he's dished them out to 5 mil. The only thing that I need to do on this side is pretty much set up the linkage, which runs obviously off the back of there and needs to be connected to the original linkage. Now that's a reverse thread, so we just need to get a reverse die to actually put a thread on the end of this, which is just a solid piece of alloy, I guess hex bar. So once that's on there, then I'll be able to make the adjustment and work out exactly from this section, from this end here and probably that end there with a nut, work out exactly where it's got to be in relation to actually selecting. And the other side, so this guy, as you can see, was originally mounted down here, but in order to line it up with this whole arm, it needed to be brought back and on a little bit of an angle. So he's made this bracket here for me to get that in the right position. However, this guy's pretty bent, so he suggested just to buy a brand new one of these will get me out of trouble and fix that problem. And then once that's done, then we can actually connect this up, and then I'll have rear brakes all set up. I still need to mount the reservoir somewhere. Not sure where that's going to go, but probably somewhere tucked away up there. But before I can do any of this, I want to send these guys away and get them hard anodized. You can either get something anodized or you can get it hard anodized. If you're going to do something like this, which is obviously going to have your feet on it and it's going to get quite a lot of wear, you can hard anodize it, which will give you a lot more longevity for the item that you're actually doing. So another product which I was thinking about using on these guys is a product called Cerakote. And Cerakote is an extremely hard wearing, even harder than hard anodizing. In fact, it's used on things like camera lenses and really fine small parts. You can coat something with it that it's that thin that you can put it on a thread and it doesn't interrupt the thread, it doesn't gain any thickness at all. So it's an extremely good product. However, I believe the price of it is through the roof, so maybe not for this, but to get the same effect of what I really need is just to coat these in black and make them hard wearing. The hard anodizing is going to be perfect, and it's not going to be breaking the bank to do it. I'm going to take all these guys apart, box them up, and send them off to a place in Brisbane about an hour away from me and get them hard anodized in black. Also probably this guy here. I will order a new one of those, and when this turns up, then I'll install that. I'll mount these up, get this working. I'm going to leave this exhaust system on for now, just purely because I do want to actually ride the bike. Once this is all set up and working, I want to actually give it a test run. I have something pretty exciting to share with you about the exhaust system that will be coming in a later video, so stay tuned for that. So I'm going to end the video there. I do want to give a shout out to a guy named Peter. Peter has been following me for a long time, always leaving me some inspiring comments, and just the other day he became a Patreon. So Peter, thank you very much. A big shout out to you and a big thank you to you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll see you next week.